We spend all our time looking out the front window, checking the horizon for the badge or maybe the gavel, definitely the hooded robe, or the corporate boardroom, waiting for the traditional enemy to kick down the door. But Brother Malcolm warned us about something that's prominent and evident, and it's called the House Negro. You see, he warned us about the system's most effective weapon, a mind so deeply colonized that it wears the master's crown while standing on the necks of its own people. What does it mean to be a white supremacist with black skin, you may ask, Ox Delight? Well, let's break it down, plain and unfiltered. It means to be a person that looks like you in the light, but he thinks like your oppressor in the dark. It's the gatekeeper. Boy, don't we know a lot of those? The sellout in a tailored suit gets a crumb from the master's table, spends it on the rest of his life, convincing the masses that the feast is just out of your reach because we didn't work hard enough. That's always the thing, right? You didn't work hard enough. They're the absolute worst. The text and history shows us and tells us. Why are they the worst? Because an open enemy, well, he'll basically tell you to your face who he is. You can see him coming. You can prepare for him. But a traitor, one who shares your complexion, one who smiles in your face, speaks the language of liberation on Sunday morning, signs the eviction notice on Monday afternoon, that person has a psychological virus because they're going to sit at your dinner table, they're going to run your organization, they're going to preach from the pulpit, they're going to write your textbooks, and they're going to sell your culture to the highest bidder, the same way that Bob Johnson did to Viacom. They have black skin, but their allegiances are to the architecture of white supremacy. They protect the system because the system protects them right up until it discards their black asses. They're going to continue to do it no matter what for the almighty dollar. Malcolm X taught us that you just cannot defeat an enemy until you can properly identify him. The hardest enemy to identify is the one wearing your own reflection. You got to ask yourself, who's policing our thoughts? Who's selling our thoughts? Who's telling us to tone down our anger, to forgive our oppressors just for justice even kisses the soil? Who's telling us that? Who profits off our division? It's the internal overseer. Because they weaponize respectability politics and they tell you that the system of racism is just a myth and your poverty is a personal moral failing, all while cashing checks funded by the very institutions that lock us out. Jay-Z. They're among us. They're in corporate suites, nodding along to diversity quotas, blocking the rise of real conscious leaders. They're the ones who trade traditional freedom for temporary individual access. They want us docile, they want us compliant, and they want us begging for scraps while they guard the gate. Now, before we move any further, I want you to do the inventory with me. Think about who you listen to, who influences you. Look at who gets rewarded in our community. If a leader, a politician, or an influencer is ever making the oppressor uncomfortable, well, they got to go. But if they're not, they're working for the oppressor. Now, if you're the type of person who isn't going to be the type of individual who has a platform such as I do, and you're not willing to make the oppressor uncomfortable, well, you need to go away. You need to have a coke and a smile and shut the fuck up because you're not an ally. You are a doormat. You're causing people to drag dirt into their house. Now let's talk about the shell game. Okay. To you racist white people out there, I need you to understand something. I would say 7 out of 10 of you have never even come across a black person. You've never had interaction with a black person. The only thing that you've done is fall into the sheepish nature of being fed by television, fed by media, fed by false narrative, false numbers, because you guys commit the most motherfucking murders and crimes in America. Look at what just happened in Idaho, of all places. Let me hip you to the game. You're being played. We have so much more in common than you could ever imagine. The blueprint of division is psychological warfare. And they are going to prey on the weakest mind. And yours, unfortunately, is the weakest of the mind. You think that you are so strong and so powerful, but I'm trying to tell you that It's an illusion. Okay. Look at this photo. This is your president, great Lyndon B. Johnson. Here's what he had to say about you. It's fucking comical. By the way, Trump said the same thing on Donahue in 84, just to let you know. Quote, if you can convince the lowest white man that he's better than the best colored man, he won't even notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on and he'll empty his pockets for you, end quote. Think about that again. Digest the mechanics of American empire, will you? Because this isn't just a historical quote, it's the active operational manual of the ruling class today, yesterday, and 400 years ago. Now, let me hip you to another thing: the illusion of superiority versus economic theft. He's robbing you blind and fucking you in your ass with a backward shaven pole. He's putting all kinds of splinters up in your guts. Now, think about what Lyndon B. Johnson laid bare there. The elites realized a long time ago that if poor and working class white people ever realized that they had more in common with poor and working class black and brown people than they did with the billionaires in Washington and Wall Street, the whole rigged game would collapse overnight. We're talking epic stock market type of collapse. But you're too stupid to realize you're being played. But I have a solution. Check it out. The oldest trick in the playbook: racial pseudo superiority. They give the working class white man a psychological wage. They're going to tell you, working class white man, hey, look at your life. It might be hard. You know, your wages might be stagnant, and your healthcare might be failing, and your kids' schools might be falling apart. But yo, at least you're not a nigger. They hand you a badge of imaginary superiority. And while your ass is busy poking your chest out, looking down your nose at your black neighbor, at your Mexican neighbor, because they got better shit than you, feeling proud of a skin color that you didn't earn and no achievement that you actually built, the politician, the banker, and the corporate CEO are literally reaching into your back pocket and stripping you clean and sticking his finger up your ass. They're emptying your pockets, the future, and they're destroying this union. They're poisoning your water. They're smiling while they're doing it because your stupid ass is too busy looking down on us. Understand something. This is about keeping us both down: black, white, and brown. Simple. Okay? It's easy math. But what is it doing to us? It's keeping us trapped in a crossfire of manufactured caste system. We're still fighting for scraps at the bottom while the top's walking away with the whole damn bakery. Baker's dozen. Look at the background of this fucking picture, man. Look at the sign. Keep them in their place. Whose place? The working class's place? The poor's place? Because if we're talking about caste place, we're talking about economics, and that includes you too. And as long as working class, poor white folks are weaponized against black freedom, nobody's going to get free. White supremacy isn't just a tool to oppress black people, it's a weapon used to pick the pockets of every single person in America. That includes all you foreign motherfuckers coming over here with the onset that black is bad. You know, like what the fuck is wrong with you? It's keeping the voter against his own health care, against his wages, against his own children's future, just to maintain a hierarchy that ultimately destroys him too. Wake up. Wake up. Division is mental prison. Malcolm said it best. You can't separate peace from freedom. You can't have justice just until you unmask the thief. The thief isn't your neighbor across town trying to feed his kids. The thief is sitting in the marble office writing laws that protect capital and crush humanity. But you have MLK Day, but Malcolm don't get no day. Watch who you talk about, who's your hero. Because that very hero told us it was okay to go to school together. Now look at us. What do we do with this truth? You weaponize it with awareness. Stop taking the bait. Because when we see brothers and sisters falling for the old divide and conquer trick, you can't just turn, into this whole picture with blind anger. Nah, you got to think about it. You got to point up. And when you show them that there's a hand in their pocket You got to wake them up to the reality of racism. That's a rich man's trick. It's designed to keep us from auditing the leisure of the ultra wealthy. You got to realize that. Because even during the slave trade, these motherfuckers made mad money. Not all of them made money. You still ain't getting it. The game is still rigged. You're still playing by their rules. Recognize that white supremacy and black skin in our own communities is a fucking plague. Cut their fucking heads off. Or straight them through the black community on a pole to let everybody know if you try to sell us out, this is what happens to you. Because the shit is a fucking fallacy. It is a visceral disrespect of being a black person. We ain't talking about niggas that date outside their race. We're talking about motherfuckers that put shit in place to make sure that we are going to remain compliant. I have a list of them. We know who they are. There's no need to go down that road of who they are. I mentioned a couple names. The problem is that motherfuckers aren't paying the price because we are too infatuated with following some glamour and glitz. Excuse me. You're not realizing the half because you don't understand the whole. You're trapped in a time warp. This shit has been repeating since Harriet Tubman was trying to free slaves. This shit happened well before we even got here. How do you think we got here? We had other African motherfucking nations selling other African nations that captured slaves. Well, captured people through war or whatever the fuck it was. We've been selling each other out for too fucking long, man. But you're going to wait for justice from a white Jesus and a God that said, it's okay for you to be my slave. Wake up. Be dangerous. Keep your eyes open. White people, you're being played a fool. Oxalite, the Willie Bobo Show. You know, I keep it real and I really don't give a fuck. Peace.